The shy nocturnal bat. Regarded with superstition and fear, a misunderstood creature, intimately linked to the legend of the vampire. The folklore of vampires had no connection to the bat until Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, Dracula. With Stoker's book, our perception of the bat transformed from unusual night creatures to undying evil. The Carpathian Mountains, stretched in an arc across Eastern Europe, a remote area where modern vampire mythology originated. Nestled in its foothills is Bran Castle, also known in Stoker's novel as Dracula's medieval home. Today, the real-life fortress towers in Romania, on the border of Transylvania. The fictional count in Dracula is based on a great historical figure of the Carpathians, Vlad Dracula, otherwise known as Vlad the Impaler. When the Impaler came to power, he ruled with an iron fist, publicly impaling his adversaries, brutally defending his country from foreign invasion. Although the real Vlad died in 1476, Stoker's Dracula lived on for centuries, feeding on the blood of his victims. Stoker's adaptation on the ancient legend is the origin of numerous theatrical, film, and television stories that to this day are as popular as ever. Nosferatu is one of the greatest adaptations of Dracula's story. The German expressionist film is a true symphony of horror. Count Dracula traveled the countryside under the cover of darkness, disguised as a bat and preying on unsuspecting children in the night. Because of Stoker's book, bats are forever linked to tales of the blood-drinking undead. But there is a creature which shares many of the traits Stoker lends to Count Dracula. And their existence extends far beyond the figment of Stoker's imagination. Of 1,000 species of bats in the world, 3 are vampire bats. The common vampire, Desmodus rotundus, is widespread in the subtropical areas of the Americas. They are the only mammals in the world that survive exclusively on the blood of their victims. Hunting after dark and preferring moonless nights, these bats must regularly feast on fresh blood, or they will die of starvation. On the cavern floor of the vampire's home is the digested blood of its victims, seething with maggots and a multitude of insects. Using their strong social bonds for survival, vampire bats live in colonies that range up to thousands. Interacting together as a colony, the vampire has developed an incredible system for sharing food, satisfying their need for constant feeding. The same part of the bat's brain which processes sound is well adapted for detecting the regular breathing of sleeping animals. Here, a bat pursues one of its victims. The vampire bat is one of the few known bats capable of walking, crawling, and jumping. This allows it to stealthily approach its prey. The bat's teeth, lips, and tongue are highly specialized for cutting and removing the skin. Most victims never feel a thing. The bite itself is superficial. For large animals and humans, the real harm doesn't come from blood loss, but from exposure to parasites and the transmission of viral-borne diseases. Often, the vampire bat will return night after night to the same animal. Specialized thermoreceptors on their nose aid in locating areas on the victim where blood flows close to the skin. Anticoagulants in their saliva keep the blood from clotting. The wound bleeds freely and rapidly. As it is bled through the same wounds each passing night, the victim can grow progressively weaker and die. Because of health risks like rabies, vampire bats are considered a danger in Latin America. As bats contribute to the spreading of dangerous infections, control measures taken to eradicate the threat kill off many vampire bats, along with beneficial bats occupying the same colonies. Bats belong to the order Chiroptera, a name of Greek origin, meaning hand wing. This accurately describes the animal's most unusual anatomical feature. Though it's long and powerful like an arm, it is really a highly developed hand. This hand has some of the same basic bones found in human hands, but the fingers are elongated and webbed. A membrane stretches between the fingers and the hand and body. This unique set of anatomical features gives the bat the most coveted of all natural abilities. Flight. Frio Cave, Central Texas. A visit to Frio Cave is like a visit to another planet. It's one of the most noxious and forbidding places on Earth. To safely venture deep into the cave requires skill, training, and highly specialized equipment. The acrid atmosphere and formidable terrain are hardly welcoming to venturing strangers. The inhabitants of this cave leave huge deposits of nitrate-rich droppings, known as guano, creating an incredibly toxic and hostile environment. One acting as a host to millions of disease-carrying insects, virulent bacteria, and a fungus that causes severe respiratory illness. Carnivorous beetles can reduce the sick or injured to a skeleton in minutes. Dangerously deep within the cave exists one of the most spectacular sights in nature. Frio is home to over 10 million bats. It is a maternity colony where females raise pups before migrating to Mexico for the winter. Every night at dusk, millions of bats, known in Texas as the Mexican free-tailed bat, set out to hunt in an exodus that's unlike anything else in nature. An awe-inspiring, frightening, and yet incredibly beautiful display of collective animal behavior. During their nightly hunt, these microbats will eat millions of mosquitoes and other airborne bugs, controlling the populations of insects that could spread disease or wreak havoc on crops. This mass of hungry predators spells doom for millions of insects each and every night. But bats aren't the only hunters in the sky. Hawks and other birds of prey near Frio Cave learned long ago that millions of bite-sized bats exit the cave at dusk. The evening hunt will end early for one of these unlucky bats. Free-tailed bats don't rely on their eyes when flying and hunting. They use echolocation. Bats emit a very high-pitched, rapid series of chirps. Sound waves bounce off any objects in their path. The bat listens for the echoes and processes the information into a picture of its surroundings. The bat's ears are so highly developed, and its brain processes the echoes so quickly that it is able to hunt down and capture tiny insects in midair. Echolocation is the way these microbats experience the world. While small insect-eating bats live throughout the world, there's another type of bat, equally beautiful and uniquely fascinating, which lives exclusively in the tropics. The fruit bat. Fruit bats don't live in caves. Their home is the jungle, among trees. Their long, curved claws and powerful hind feet allow them to navigate the tangle of branches with ease. They don't eat insects or drink blood. As their name suggests, they subsist on a diet of fruit or nectar. The teeth of this bat are hard and sharp, perfect for biting through tough fruit rinds. Their tongues elongated to sip juice or nectar. This is a Rodriguez fruit bat. Weighing about 1 pound and with a 2.5-foot wingspan, this bat lives exclusively on Rodriguez Island, located in the Indian Ocean, east of Madagascar. Fruit bats are part of the megabat family, which have a highly refined sense of smell and excellent eyesight. Using these senses, they forage in the more traditional mammalian way. These bats are nearly extinct in the wild due to deforestation and hunting. Their habitat has been reduced to an unsustainable level by storm damage and human intervention. The distinctive facial features of the fruit bat, big, alert eyes, and an elongated nose, have earned it the apt nickname, the flying fox. Like many other species of bats before it, this unique animal may soon disappear from the earth completely. amazing example of the important role bats play within their environment can be found on the Seychelles Islands off the east coast of Africa in the Indian Ocean. These islands are home to the Seychelles fruit bat. The Seychelles fruit bat is an essential part of the island's ecosystem. By feeding on fruit and expelling the seeds, the bat spreads fruit trees across the land. Their evening foraging can take them over many miles in search of fresh fruit. Deforestation of the tropics leads to loss of bats, which in turn leads to less trees being seeded and inevitably more deforestation. It's a vicious cycle of ecological destruction. Human hunters have drastically reduced the number of wild fruit bats, in some cases to dangerously low levels. Nevertheless, the pursuit of these fruit bats continues. The survival of these delicate jungle ecosystems is dependent on the survival of the bats. As in all of nature, maintaining balance is crucial. Over time, as the extreme nature of bats becomes less mysterious to us, we can develop a greater appreciation for the vital role these unique animals play in our world.